we're going to talk about chapter 8. And it starts off by saying we have to make the habit irresistible, right? So there's a super normal stimuli, right? And they are exaggerated cues, something that ignites a stronger response. So when we have cues, that's the first thing that alerts us to actually making a decision on what we're going to do, that presents the outcomes that we get with our decision making, right? That's what starts the habit forming, the cue. Now, an example that the gentleman used is food, right? Food scientists, they make food extremely, they research, food habits. What is it that people do? What is it that they like? How can we keep them coming? How can we basically get these people stimulated and thinking about our dishes so that way they will continuously come and purchase? So they talk about the way that they put in texture. They look at flavor, obviously, texture, the look of the food, the appeal, maybe even the way, the size and the portions of certain things, the way they're cut up, so that way it's even more appealing to the eye. They do a very big study to make sure that whatever it is that we purchase is something that is going to just make us excited and always want to order it, right? So they were talking about actually natural foods. He's saying natural food. When you look at natural food, you don't get excited about eating vegetables as you would about eating something like French fries, right? Unless you're a person who has developed a lifestyle or has always been, a naturalist, and you prefer eating raw vegetables and natural foods steamed and like that, then you more than likely, if you had an option and you had no, say it was nothing to do with an illness or anything like that, then if you had a choice, which one are you going to choose? You're going to choose a nice crispy fry, or are you going to pick up a steamed package? Well, not a steamed package. Are you going to choose steamed kale as your option to eat, right? You're going to go after that thing that is enticing, that gets you excited, right? So they use coffee, sugar, and all sorts of other things to enhance that food to make the craving come about. These exciting ingredients, they present ways of us wanting to come back, right? We want more. It presents a stimuli. So we need to find ways to make the habits that we are trying to form very attractive in a way where whenever we are supposed to be doing that thing, automatically we're excited to do it. There's something within our bodies that say, you know what? Yes, I'm excited to go do my budgeting. I'm excited to go exercise. I'm excited to go for a walk today. I'm excited to get up and cook. Just simple things that, you may not be as interested or inclined to do. We have to make it seem interesting. So he talks about ads, the way they present ads in commercials and all of that, all the Nike commercials, the clothing, not just Nike, but most of the brands, whether it's clothing or anything like that, even down to clothing, because we talked about food. Well, even down to clothing, what do? The body types that they put in the ads wearing their clothes, they have the perfect bodies wearing their outfits, right? The most beautiful skin. Their hair is always gorgeous. Their makeup is well done. The person just looks immaculate. They've created an image that just makes you want to either purchase that thing or make you want to aspire to be in the position to purchase that thing. So that's what we have to aspire to do, to actually get ourselves excited to do whatever it is that we aspire to do. It talks about dopamine, right? The dopamine feedback loop. So, blocking the release of dopamine. It sends a signal from the body to the brain. It plays a controlling movement and emotional response. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It says dopamine plays a role in our memory, our learning, our motivation, and our movement, and more. So dopamine is that thing that releases when we experience pleasure, right? And that makes us anticipate whatever it is. It makes us actually want the reward, and that part of that outcome. We're excited to have that. Good morning. Thank you for joining. We're doing chapter 8 and 9 of the Atomic Habits. I apologize, I was a little late today, but I appreciate you guys joining me this morning. So we were just talking about how a lot of corporate companies, what they do is a lot of research to ensure that whatever they sell to us consumers, they make sure that it's something that stimulates our interests and our wants, not our needs necessarily. They do this to make sure that we will come back for more. We're going to continuously come back for more. Good morning. Hey, Nikki. Oh, you're here, girl. So it's just like for myself, when I was on my debt repayment journey, what I did was I visualized being in the position of being debt free, right? I made sure that I always kept that vision in my mind, and that's what drove me to continue the journey. I also created things so that way when I visualized them, when I saw them, actually when I used them, it inspired me to continue my journey. It made me have an outlook of the long-term goal. I think it's very important to keep things in front of you that you want. So that's why they say write things down. When you write things down, you're going to go back and you're going to look at those things to make sure, you're on track. Not only that, I started to follow pages that encourage debt-free lifestyles. I started to learn more so that way it would become a part of my subconscious and my normal mindset, so that way it would excite me more for my end result. So we have to just immerse ourselves in areas where, we're going to feel encouraged, inspired, motivated, and there's a spike within ourselves, our stimulus, that will allow us to feel like, I have to keep going. I'm going to keep going. Just like we do with food. If you want to eat healthy, you got to make the food look attractive. You got to find recipes that will help you to continue eating whatever it is. So that way, the interest of changing your food habits doesn't seem as traumatizing, right? Because going from eating however you want to all of a sudden having a strict routine so you can lose weight, it is very difficult, right? And I, for one, know that, if you don't learn other recipes and ways of making things, sticking to eating properly does not necessarily last. So with that, stimuli, do whatever it is to get your feelings and your energy and your thoughts in the right direction, so that way you can continue on wanting to fulfill that journey. He talks about the example of temptation. So temptation bundling. So he says you have a current habit, right? And there's a habit that you need. So you're going to say, after I drink my coffee, I will drink 4 cups of water. So coffee is the thing that you enjoy doing, right? But the thing is, you want to drink more water. So the thing is, you're saying to yourself, okay, instead of drinking coffee and then I'm going to drink, usually you drink juice or whatever else, you're going to put in your mind that, okay, I'm going to do what I normally do, but I'm going to implement something that I know I need to do. So you're going to say, after I drink my coffee, I'm drinking at least 4 cups of water. So there's no juice or no additional coffee as your next drink. You are rewarding yourself by having your coffee, but also implementing the good habit of drinking the water. So he's not saying take away that habit of drinking the coffee right at this point in time. He's saying incorporate that good habit so that way it becomes a part of the routine. And this is what he calls temptation bundling. And then he says, after I have the habit that I need, so after I have the habit that I need, the water, then you're going to add another habit. So basically, after you drink the water, maybe you need to do 15 minutes of exercise. Remember, at the beginning of the book, he says, you know what? 1% change. So if you want to exercise more and you want to live a more healthier lifestyle, you want to incorporate drinking water and exercise in your life, it doesn't mean that you got to go ahead and just all of a sudden drink a liter of water a day. Drink 4 cups of water, incorporate that in one part of your day. And then if you're a person who's not really excited about exercising, well, maybe say, you know what, after I do drink my water, within the next hour, I'm going to go for a walk. Find a way to incorporate these habits that you have, these new habits that you want into your daily routine. It's called habit stacking. That's what that is, basically, right? So that was chapter 8. So we have to make it interesting. And when we're making it interesting, it doesn't mean that we have to eliminate something right away. It just means we have to combine the old with the new. And then when you start doing that new and you start to see the benefits of doing it, there's a high likelihood that you may even eliminate what's not working for you, right? Chapter 9 is we need to make habits attractive, right? So, and it talks about our family and the way our family and friend shapes our habits, the role they play. So he starts off talking about this gentleman his name's Laszlo. Laszlo is a believer that with deliberate practice and the development of good habits, a child can become a genius in any field. So actually, and I really like this because, to be honest, I do believe it. I do believe that we all have the capabilities to do great things. I think that a lot of us, most people think on a very basic level of life and expectancy. And it's just based on society's way of, it's just a very sad thing, to be honest. Within our households, people will say things like, you don't have no sense. Why is it you're not learning? You're not listening. They're looking at all the things that you're not doing, not knowing that maybe that's not your learning style. Maybe that's not the way that would serve you in developing in the better way. Instead of finding other ways to teach you, we're told what we're not able to do. And when you get told what you're not able to do, you produce that, right? So this gentleman is saying, if you actually have deliberate, so intentional ways of encouraging a child to do a certain thing, and you take out distractions and you focus on getting that child to a certain level, they are able to do it. And I believe the same for adults anyways. We do know that as adults because, I'm reading a lot of things about different people that I know, and when they express their experience with school and education, you wouldn't expect them to be where they are in the field of work or the careers that they're in. But because they've actually made it their due diligence to practice, to readjust their mindset and learn different things in a different way that allowed them to be the best in the area of study that they're in, that's why they're able to perform at a high level, right? So I believe it is with practice and work, right? So he does this experiment with his children. He gets this lady, her and him, they're both intelligent people. They get pregnant, they have a family, and they create a household and an environment where they are building chess players. From the children are as little as 6 months, they start exposing them to chess in every way possible. And because of that, they were homeschooled as well. Like everything was about chess in their household. And what the outcome was the children became chess masters. They became rewarded for their abilities to play the game. They were competitive, right? And not only that, the kids actually developed a liking for it. Now, that was the interesting part, because I find that sometimes when you're forced to do something, right, and you don't see another way to do something else, do you really like it, or are you just doing it because you're exposed to that thing? Like for myself, and maybe for myself, I can't even think of it because I was not given an opportunity where there was a sport exposed to me or an activity where I got to try it and then it didn't work out. So I went another route. Maybe that's why it took so long to figure out a career and a lane of work that I wanted to be in, right? But maybe if I was exposed to something or a few things, and I would have discovered my better self in that way and probably had a career a long time ago. Now, I'm not saying I regret anything. I'm just saying when you expose people to things, and especially young people, you're giving them an opportunity to develop a liking or a passion to something, which allows them to be great at it, right? But the thing is, these children ended up really enjoying it. So he starts to talk about how, acceptance. We're all in our new human nature. We are like animals in a sense where we like to belong. We like being with people, right? As much as a lot of us, sometimes it's like, I don't really like working with people. But at the end of the day, we want to be with people that we enjoy. We don't not like being with people. I think that not liking being with people is the outcome of a lot of people's behaviors that we've seen. But in our human nature, we are like animals in the sense where we need each other, right? He goes back to talk about in tribal times, we traveled together, right? And if you got exiled, that was a problem, right? It's like animals, they travel in herds, right? They don't walk alone. Walking alone, especially in human life, it's very difficult. It is not a nice experience. Nobody wants to be alone. So sometimes we end up doing things based on the people that are in our life. It's the things that we see. How is it that they behave? We end up picking up and learning those behaviors. So in psychology, there's a term, learned behavior, and that is based on, your upbringing. What you see in your household is a likelihood of the behavior and the patterns that you will repeat as an adult, right? So he talks about the different types of, there's different groups. We imitate habits of 3 particular groups. One of them is the close. Those are the people that are in our work life, our homes, and, what do we end up doing? We end up mimicking that behavior, whether it's when we're in a relationship, whatever we see parents do, we kind of learn that and we imitate that and we feel that that's what we take to our relationship. If it's Even behaviors when you see your parents. How do your parents work? What was their work ethic? If you see your parent as a hard worker, more than likely you're going to end up being just that for your employer. Or, nowadays we're a little bit more resistant, but the likelihood there are certain habits that we have that we repeat because of what we've seen in our household. He even talks about the closeness of being around your friends. The people that you hang around, sometimes, not even sometimes, you are more likely to operate with the same mannerisms, behaviors, habits, even the way we speak. We notice that. Like, that's what they call trends, right? There's a word that would be that thing that everybody says at one time because it's the trendy word. So if that's your circle and that's how they talk, then that's how you end up talking, right? So the people that are closest to us influence the way we will act, and also the thoughts that we have about certain things, right? I myself have gone through a lot of soul searching over the last little while, just reflecting on certain behaviors that I had and certain thought processes that I had because of the way, the way that I was brought up. Because especially with being within a Christian household, there's so many rules and regulations, right? There's so many restrictions. So it gives you this closed-minded way of viewing life. And when you are exposed to different people, then you start to learn about what their thoughts and experience are and what their ideologies are. And it allows you to maybe start to question what it was you learned and why you learned that, right? So those are the things that happen when you have the people that are close to you. That first group will influence immediately the way you think and the way you go about life. Then there's the many. The many is just basically in groups. So at school, right? If you're in a classroom setting and there's a crew of maybe 5-6 people that all hang out. I remember in school we used to be a little bit troublesome, right? And you think that any of the troublesome crew would say to the other crew member, "Hey, stop acting like that. Pay attention." Who's doing that in the crew? Everybody was more or less the distraction. And that's the way the flex was. Nobody in that crew decided to say, "Hey, you know what? Let's focus on the schoolwork. Let's go to class and focus today." Or "Don't disrupt the teacher. We gotta learn. And then on recess, we'll act up." Nobody did that. This is what we do. This is how we flex. So you followed exactly what your friends did, right? You patterned the same behavior. And obviously with that, the result for some people is they may have gotten away with it in life and everything was okay because they never ended up getting in problems, and maybe the outcome for them was they made changes early, where other people end up in situations where, they developed really bad habits, didn't serve them, and more than likely ended up in even more problematic behavior, right? So the people that we hang around, sometimes they do influence the outcomes that the way we even just, style, dress, talk, and then behaviors that we have, right? So he says, to make habits that you desire become a regular routine, be surrounded by people who display the behavior that you want to aim to have. It is better to hang around people that have a common interest. Now, I have experienced this most recently, and I feel that it's such a beautiful thing. I do have family members and friends who are goal oriented. We all have a common goal, and that's achieving good things in life. Sharon, you're one, right? We've always been there for each other to chat and discuss leveling up, the different ways and the routes that we are moving. You know what I mean? So that way you have that person to speak to. I have at least two to three in my life, my personal life, that, you know what, this is great. I'm getting the support, I'm getting the encouragement. We feed on each other's energy. So that way, you know what, we're encouraged and we keep going and moving in the direction that we want to move. However, also then you have professional relationships. And if you're looking to deal with professional development, then you need to work in a space and with people who are going to push you further to do what it is that you want to do. Just like my recent change, me working with you, Nikki, me working with Harpreet and Shayna and Shay. You know what? Honestly, it's amazing because it's a team, it's a collective. Everybody has a desired goal. And right now, that goal is success for life, success for the outcome of the futures of our families. We are looking to uplift the community. So we all came together. We didn't come together. We all actually, for some, like you say, alignment, use that term alignment, and it's been a very hit word right now because I always hear the word alignment. But the thing is, the stars align. Life has brought us to a point where we are actually working with each other. We're working with people who literally inspire us, keep us motivated. We share. When we talk about how to lift and build, where we can use different tools to improve. We're learning knowledge from our leaders. We have daily classes where we can go and continue to get inspiration and develop our skills. So that is the thing that he's talking about in your environment. And when you're with a group of people, be amongst the people that are more than likely in the same field or same area of development. So that way you will end up being inclined. It's not like you're forcing yourself to change. It just naturally you will start to continue to want to progress, right? And sometimes people say, well, I'm not good with meeting people. Well, the thing is, if you think about not being good with meeting people and you continue with that mindset, you're going to continue to not meet people because you're pushing that energy into your life. What you have to do is have an open mind, and you have to say, this is what I want, this is what I desire. And even if you find one person, then you appreciate that person for the time being, and you work and you grow together. The thing is, you move from forming, you know what, a professional relationship with people, and sometimes you form good friendships. You end up forming a good bond because you're so passionate and you're so helpful to each other that you really appreciate that person, and it's like you just feel valued, right? But if you keep saying, I don't know, I won't have, I can't, and you look at everybody as skeptical, then the outcome is you're going to get what you keep saying, right? So that's that thing where they say birds of a feather flock together. And it's important to flock with people who are on the level or have the vision or the same goals and outcomes that you have, right? It's just like the third habit, he talks about the third habit is you look at the habits of people who have people in power, right? So that's like a celebrity. People, maybe not even a celebrity, excuse me. Someone in a profession that is at a high caliber. They're money making. They are the leader. They've gone through all the tiers of development, and they've reached that level where they are able to mentor you and bring you to a proper place of acceleration through development and coaching, right? So even if maybe they're not even doing that for you, but you are able to see from the outside the behaviors of these people, and you desire that lifestyle, whoever it is that you look up to, you're going to want to mimic that behavior. If you're able to reach out to the person and say, you know what, hey, I'm looking for a mentor, are you available? That's beautiful. Then you know what, if they say yes, then you are now bringing yourself from being at a level where, you know what, you're learning and you have desires, but you know you need to elevate and get here. You're putting yourself in a position to match that. And you have to be patient in the time that you're trying to get to the place where that person is, by being open-minded, patient, giving. You're not just looking to receive, right? Positive, because people want to know that they have positive people around them. You're not looking to overtake what it is that they do. You're just basically looking for inspiration and to be motivated in the process of you developing new habits. Because once you're around this person and these elite people, or whoever it is that you've chosen, what you're going to do is you're going to be able to see a little bit more insight of what it is, what are their routines, how do they respond to challenges, what little things do they do that I'm not doing that I may need to. Good morning, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. I'm just finishing up chapter 9 of the Atomic Habits, and we're talking about looking at people who we aspire. So they're in a role that we aspire to be in, and using them as motivation or inspiration or even a mentor on our success journey as we develop new habits, right? So you put yourself out there and you decide to really pay attention to the behaviors, the things they do, the things they eat. Maybe sometimes there's certain, even for myself, I'm going to tell you guys something. I'm a person, I like comfort, right? But the thing is, there's a certain way you have to present yourself when you are in a certain role. I understand people say, well, you know, you just be you do you, whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, when you're looking to level up, image really does make a difference. And the way you carry yourself, the way you know, your posture, the way you posture yourself, the way your self-care is, you know, we have to be mindful of these things. So you look at that person, you say, what changes can I make to myself that in the future I could see myself being there, because that is what that role is. I need to, you don't necessarily need to change your vehicle or whatever, but if it's a way of dressing, you know what I mean? People always look at you and they think that, hey, can I trust this person? This person doesn't look like they have it all together. Now, some people would say that's not fair. It isn't fair. But at the end of the day, remember, you're the one that wants to level up. So if there are little changes that you need to make to be able to be in a certain role and to be looked at and regarded in a respected manner as you're trying to get to this elevated lifestyle, then you need to look at what that person is doing. And if it means you may need to change your wardrobe and become different in that regard, then you have to have an open mindset to that. And there's a possibility that you may not need to change your wardrobe entirely. Maybe you just need to incorporate a few additional things. So that way, you know what, you can still be yourself, but at the same time you show yourself in a, you show them that you're making improvements. You see, showing that you're making changes as you learn, as you gain knowledge, as you surround yourself with positive people. You know what I mean? You're going to be able to make the changes that you want to see in your life. So it talks about our peers. It talks about, our household. You know what I mean? What it is that we see within our homes, the decisions that we have to make to get rid of some of the thoughts and the mindsets of how we were raised, so that way we can level up, because sometimes what we've seen doesn't serve us, and then there's other things that we did learn when we were young that we didn't necessarily take on because, you know what, we thought it it wasn't worth anything, maybe those are things that we need to start to incorporate into our lives. Need to sometimes draw back into those roles, such as for myself, when I was young, it was important that we woke up early. It was important that you ironed your clothes the day before. It was important that you had a routine on what time you started cooking. There was more structure when I was young. But then there were certain thought processes that didn't serve me. It didn't serve me. It didn't match with what I want in life. So I had to make a conscious effort to improve my thought process in that regard. So you have to know what you have to alter. And then when it comes to our friends and the people that we are around, we have to put ourselves in a position, friends and workplaces, we have to put ourselves in a position to operate and be surrounded by people who will keep us encouraged, inspired, and just motivated to keep on the journey, to level up. Someone that can let you know, like, I mean, we should be able to have people call us out, and not be offended by it, right? So that's that. And then also with, we have the people in power, the people who are leaders, the people that are doing well. Those people, we need to look at what it is they do and basically pick out certain areas where we are experiencing challenges and see how we can incorporate them into our lifestyle. I find that right now with social media, it is very easy to connect with people. People are very giving of information and resources at this time. So if there is someone in an area of study that you are interested in being in, it is not a hard thing to send a message and say to the person, you know what, I admire what you do and I'm interested. Do you mind if I book a meeting with you to chat? You never know what the outcome of that conversation is. We need to start to challenge ourselves more, to be bold. If we want things, we got to really move in the direction to get it. And we have to believe. We have to put out the good energy so we can get back exactly what it is that we're looking for. When we're sitting there and we're thinking in a negative space, or we're thinking from a scarcity mindset in all ways, then what happens is we're limited, we're confused, and we are not poised. And the thing is, right now, I feel that we're at this great place in life where I understand there's COVID, I understand there's a lot of difficulties, but for me, I don't focus on COVID as, a negative thing, COVID-19, the results of COVID-19 as a negative thing. Yes, it is difficulty and there will be challenges that are presented with it, but what I'm doing is I'm seizing this time to bring out the best in whatever it is that I aspire to do, my long-term goal, because I have the time. I'm using the time wisely to be able to work in the direction of my long-term goals, right? I'm making that time to make sure that I use that time wisely, because I don't know when they're going to say it's time to come back into the office or whatever the case is. And it's up to me in regards to how much work I put in to make the changes in the lifestyle that I want, right? If I don't do it, then I can't complain when I have to return to the norm. But if we take the time to really engross ourselves and focus on elevating our lives by surrounding ourselves with good conversation, reading great books, having time for motivation, drinking water, even drinking water and being more mindful of what I'm eating, even that has just made my system feel even better. I feel more clear. I feel more good. When we first started COVID, I was just eating at all times. I was always in the fridge. And I was drinking juice, I was drinking coffee how many times a day. And then it caught up with me where I looked at myself and I was like, why do you look so drawn out? And I said, no, I got to make a change. This can't work. You look too tired. I mean, we're already restricted to what we're able to do, right? and now this is what you're doing with it, you're going to come out of here looking like I don't even know what. You're going to be depressed by the time it's time to go outside. You need to change up. And that's why I decided, no. I'm going to start searching, some of the fitness people online and see what it is. What is it they're doing? What movements are they making when it comes to exercise? Maybe I can mimic some of their exercises and just do like a little 15-minute exercise here and there. And I did. And then I found a water challenge and I started drinking water a lot, to the point where I started to enjoy drinking water. So now I have this new habit. Drinking water for me is not a problem. I will drink coffee now maybe 3 times a week, but I was drinking coffee sometimes 3 times a day, right? But really, and juice, I don't really care for it. I find juice very sugary. So the thing is, I started to put myself in challenges and share that with my friends and family. So that way, if they were interested in joining on, we motivated each other to do something good, With my group of professional women that I'm working with, we've developed such a great bond. It's like a sisterhood, you understand? Because we meet up, we're always with each other, we're always sharing something that's positive. We're going to training, we're coming out of training, we're saying what we enjoyed about it, what we like about what we're learning, what we enjoy about what we're doing, and how we want to serve more. So the thing is, that is becoming another way for us to continue to stick to the plan of moving forward and developing the lifestyle that we see for our future. And then for the people in power, the people in positions that we want, well, we have a mentor, we have mentors, we have people who are encouraging us, right? Who are guiding us in the direction that we want to go. They're not scared to share information because you know what? They want to see us level up as well. So we're learning about the habits that they have. One of the habits that we recently talked about in our group is, the social media. How much time are we spending on social media? And is the time that we're spending on social media productive, right? As much as we're on here and we do marketing and so on and so forth, there's still things on the back end that need to be done. So it's finding that balance. And these are the conversations that we have to have with people that are in our lives. So that way it will allow us to move forward, right? Yeah, if you desire habits of highly successful people, it's because you desire success yourself. So, if you desire success yourself, mimic the habits that you see of successful people. Habits that will serve you in your current life and in the future that you see for yourself. So with that said, that is chapter 8 and 9. And the goal is that we make our habits attractive. So whatever it is that you do, you have to make it where it's something that really looks like, you know what? Yeah, I like that. That's what I want for my life. That looks good. So that way, every time you have to do it, you're excited to do it, right? Make our habits attractive and surround yourself with positive people and positive things. Make the change that you want to see in your life. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me today. That was chapter 8 and 9 of the Atomic Habits. I started off a little late today. My alarm didn't go off, but I appreciate you guys for being here. Next Wednesday is chapter 10 and 11. We are moving through the Atomic Habits, and I'm thinking to do another group meeting to discuss, the book thus far, to see how people are feeling about the, what they've been reading so far, and the changes that they've been applying and what difficulties they're having. So, you know what I mean? That will allow us to help each other, encourage each other to keep going. Maybe somebody has some tips that can help another person, right? Everyone, you guys, thank you for joining me. You have a blessed day, and I'll see you next week, okay? With everything you do, have faith, stay focused, and always follow through. Blessings.